Folks, welcome again to another Buckmaster's Big Buck Blueprint brought to you by our good folks at Rocky Boots. All right, we got old Tyler Pikowski from Illinois. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Well, I tell you what, old Seth Hernandez was a leader in the clubhouse with your neighbor in state Indiana with a 284, and by gosh, you got him by 1 inch, so you're the leader in the clubhouse now.
Yeah, I actually got Seth's picture sent to me right after I had shot mine, and did pretty shocked to get one that looked like mine, and then to see that there was another one killed similar. It was pretty shocking to see.
All right, well, what do you do for a living?
Yeah, so I work at a factory here locally. I'm a supervisor of a small group of programmers. We build industrial heat transfer units for all sorts of customers, big units. And we program lasers, turrets, pretty well any sheet metal machinery we're programming.
I got you. Well, I assume you try to accumulate as much time that you can take off to chase those whitetails behind you, right?
Yes, absolutely. I try to get the family out for a vacation once or twice early in the year, but they pretty well know that there's going to be some time left over in November.
Gotcha. All right, who started you hunting?
Yeah, I was blessed to grow up in a hunting family, pretty tight-knit hunting family. Hunted all my life, grew up watching guys like yourself, the Monster Bucks videos with Bill Jordan, Michael Waddell. So from a young age, we've been hunting. I'm not old by any means, but I've probably been hunting deer for 20 years. So really lucky, really blessed to be in a family that raised me like that. And, I've got a couple kids of my own now. I got a boy that's almost 6, and my daughter's just turned 4. So the last couple of years have been a lot of fun getting them out in the woods. Actually been able to harvest a couple deer with my boy with me.
Oh.
So that's been a lot of fun so far, getting them introduced. But like I said, really blessed, with the family that I was raised in, that this is the passion and that they raised me up into.
Good deal. Well, I am a grandfather now, so it was cool to watch my grandson, who is named Jack, shoot his first deer and second deer last year. So the older you get, and you can shoot a bunch of big deer, but watching somebody else shoot one, that's as much happiness and reward watching that there is anything. So good deal on that. All right,
absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about Illinois right there, where you hunt. I see some really nice deer hanging behind you. Do you bow hunt? Tell me everything that you like about the hunting and which weapons you like to hunt with.
Yeah, I'm not partial to any weapon. If there's a season to hunt a deer, I'm looking to get out there and get it. Archery hunt, muzzleloader hunt. Now we have rifles. We shotgun hunted for a long time. Mm-hmm. They introduced the straight wall cartridges being legal now, so a lot of people are going to that. But yeah, if there's a season for it, I like to have a tag in my pocket and like I said, like to bow hunt the most. That's the prime of the rut here where I'm at. You get the most rutting activity with bow hunting, but yeah, definitely not afraid to shoot them with a gun either.
I got you. That deer would be to your right, to my left. What's his story? He had a bad day, it looked like. Yep.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah, so actually all 4 of these deer here behind me have come off the same property in the last 4 years. Then obviously the velvet deer this year with the rifle. This property, I had the story about the property. I ended up losing what was my best spot about 5 years ago. Was lucky enough to have some cousins that had a little bit of property. Reached out to them. They said, "Sure, come on down." They don't hunt. They share crops, so their deer are eating their crops. So mm-hmm. Come on, kill as many as you want. And really, it turns out all these years we should have been there instead of the other places.
Gotcha. Well, you figured out those deer had a chance to grow a little bit. So, I don't want to know where the property is. I don't want to give it away or anything. But how many total acres are you hunting?
So this property here, it's 2 parcels split by a road. The side where I've killed these deer on is 80 acres. It sets up as a long rectangle. It's got about 12 acres of woods up in the northwest corner of it. Mm-hmm. So to get in there, I'm pretty well walking. Access isn't great. You got to do what you got to do to get in there, but pretty well walking 800 or 900 yards out across the field just to get to the corner of the spot. It's got 3 real deep ravines that run through it. You just about can't walk through the middle of it. You kind of got to walk around. So it really really limits us, and to be honest, has really helped keep the pressure out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we really have to be mindful. Only try to hunt it northwest wind. These small, I call it a small acreage. Like I said, it ends up being an 80-acre parcel, but hunts a lot smaller than that. Um, I want to be out there every day hunting. It's just not possible. It really makes you pick and choose your time to be in there to maximize, um, with the weather and keeping the pressure out of there. So I guess that was kind of been a key to this spot, is that I can't spend a lot of time in there, and I know that. We pretty well put a camera or two up in there early in the season, and we kind of just leave it alone until it's right.
All right, and your season comes in when for archery and goes how far?
So the archery season comes in October 1st,
Mm-hmm.
and actually just went out yesterday. So what was that, January 19th?
Mm-hmm.
And then our gun seasons start. It's usually the third weekend, and it's the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 days of firearm season. Then you have the weekend of Thanksgiving, and then the following weekend we have 4 days of our second firearm season. So seven days of gun hunting in the state, plus the next weekend you get a muzzleloader season.
Oh, okay. So you really don't
So
have much time, and that your scouting has to be spot on, and you got to make sure you got. What do you say? You need some type of north wind to hunt your property, huh?
yeah, north wind for sure. There can be west. Northwest is perfect, but in this spot in particular, we try not to even set foot in there if it's not a north or a northwest. So
I got you. What kind of food crops and stuff? Do you have any soybeans, corn, or your acorns? Well, what's your food sources?
yeah, so it's row crop here. It alternates corn and soybeans. So I've got 2 deer killed in cut corn here and 2 killed in beans. So
Okay.
I'm still trying to decide which one's the best, but I'm not too partial to either of them right now, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a cut cornfield, and I figured, it was pretty cold that week. We can get down here in a minute, but it was pretty cold that week, so I was hopeful that they would be out there feeding.
So bottom line is on your 80 acres, how much is thick cover, woods? Kind of give me what the parcel consists of as far as your 80 acres.
Yeah, so that the 80 acres, there's, like I said, 12. It's just about a perfect square. There's ravines in that 12 acres. With the pressure, more and more people are hunting all the time. It seems like. Um, in this area in particular, and may or may not have been because of this deer this year, but there are more hunters coming on. It seems like, so yeah, the 12 acres sets up nice. Like you can't really access it too much, so I think that's what really helped out with these deer. It gives them a little safe space to go when the pressure's coming in from the outside. And that little, like I said, that little 12 acres. I'm not holding deer there. I know that. Um, I've got some food there that they can come to, but it is thick. There's a lot of terrain there that,
Mm-hmm.
a buck that's passing through, it's not river bottom, but it's along a river. The deer travel these rivers.
I
So
got
um, every one of these deer, I had a picture, at least one of, but, they're not living on me. They're traveling this river, and then they're finding a cozy spot to get into when the pressure comes on.
Well, that's what it sounds like to me. So, no matter how small your acreage is, if you kind of have a little sanctuary there that you're not putting pressure on, which obviously you're not doing, you're only going in and out of it when you need to, then you have produced a little sanctuary for some of these bigger bucks to hang out once the pressure on all the sides come in, right?
I don't have to spend as much scouting this spot. I've hunted it enough years to know, what it is. There's not a whole lot, I can't put food plots in there really. I
Mm-hmm.
can't, there's not really any other place I can put a stand in there without blowing the whole area out
Mm-hmm.
with access. So that's been the nice part. It is a little sanctuary. It's really hard to get in there. So that does create that little pocket where the bucks can kind of at least find a little home for a little while.
Everybody has a unique story, but a lot of them have the same similarities to them, and a lot of them are less pressure and making sure the wind's right. How many trail cameras do you have, and where do you put them on this 12 acres of the open fields? Where are you placing them to kind of get an idea what your inventory is?
Yeah, so that we only put 2 out there this year. It's kind of a late start to the season for me. I didn't have the sense of urgency that I normally do to get out and hunt. If I'm being honest with you, I
Yeah.
didn't put in any extra time scouting. I didn't really get the cameras out, in August, September like we normally do. Um, so by the time October rolls around, I'm not ready to hunt. Um, so I mean, I'm ready to hunt. I don't have cameras out. I haven't really done anything. Haven't really thought about hunting. So mid October, it's the ruts. The weather's changing. It's time to deer hunt. I start to get the itch a little bit again. Uh, so I got to get a camera out and get a picture of a deer, just to get the juices flowing. Get me
Sure.
back into the swing of things.
Sure.
So yeah, I actually didn't even get cameras out till the last week of October. We put 2 on it. We got one on the south, like I said, it's got 3 deep ravines, so you kind of got 3 fingers there you can put them on.
Yeah, was this on your 12 acres? You got one of them?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir. Yeah, that middle finger there, about right in the middle of the south side of that square, we put a camera, and then deeper in there, I put a cell camera, so I never have to walk in there.
Sure.
So that's the last week of October. We finally get the cameras out. We start hunting. We're passing some small deer, some 3-year-olds. And there had been a rumor. I'd actually been showed a picture of this deer in July. The property owner runs a trail camera for security. And he had showed me a picture of this deer in July, and it was a side view, and it just looked like a bunch of trash. You can't, no definition of points, no nothing. It's a little far away, just looked like a bunch of trash on there. So I kind of forgot about that. Started hunting again. Of course, there's a lot of people hunting in the area. Rumbling's going on. There's a big deer somewhere, and it's probably the first week of November. I remember it vividly. I'll probably never forget it the rest of my life. I was laying in bed about 8:30. My cell camera goes off. I look at it, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is the biggest deer I've ever seen.
All right, let's do this now. Before you get too much into it, I want to take a real quick break right here. And hey, this is all brought to you by Rocky Boots. Everywhere, every day, Rocky's the best there is. Our Buckmaster's Life Hunt was last week, and Rocky gave everybody there a pair of boots. And these kids and soldiers all got their great deer. So every day, everywhere, Rocky Boots has something to offer and a great price. And if you use the Buckmaster's 25 at checkout, you'll get 25% off your next order. And we thank you, Rocky Boots, for making this podcast happen. All right, let's go back to you finally saw the picture of this old rascal behind you. Is that right?
Like I said, I was laying in bed about 8:30. Cell cam goes off. I look at it. The deer's got its head up like this right in front of the camera, and you can just see the tines.
Yeah.
It's this angle right in front of you.
So, Tyler, did you see this deer the year before?
I actually did not. After we harvested this deer, we got to look, and this deer had actually been wounded. He had a shoulder injury. We got to thinking and remembering last year we had a picture of a deer that had a shoulder injury. So we dug up that picture, and when you zoom in on it, the injury's in the same exact spot. It's a mainframe 10-pointer with front points, just like this one. And if you zoom in, you can see where he still is in velvet. It's a really thin velvet, and it's starting to peel off. And for the longest time, we thought it was a drop tine. But once you really zoom in on there, you can really tell it's a piece of velvet that's fallen off. So, yeah, we're about as certain as you can be. This is the same deer as last year. He shed that rack and grew all of this year.
Wow. All right, well, let's kind of get into the hunt and everything. The time and the weather and all that good stuff, and we want to look at that rack a little bit more too.
Sure. Yeah, so like the first part of November, especially after we got this picture of this deer, but more or less any north or northwest wind, me or Dad were in there hunting. And my dad owns a farm in Missouri, my family farm, 160 acres. It opens the weekend before the Illinois gun season, and we always take a family trip down there rifle hunting. Seems kind of counterintuitive, I know, to leave Illinois rut in the middle of November to go down and try to shoot a 120-inch deer in southeast Missouri, but we do it. We love it. It's a family hunt. It's a hunting trip. There's nothing better than a hunting trip. So year after year we do that. we're getting enough pictures of this deer, and not a lot. This deer, turns out there's a lot of people that had pictures of this deer and more pictures than I did. But I was getting enough pictures, maybe 1 or 2 a week, to know that I had a chance at killing him. But I wasn't going to be too terribly devastated if he got killed by somebody else. I knew he wasn't living on me. Things were going to have to work out right for me to get a chance.
Now, hey, on your pictures, were they daylighting or were they nighttime pictures?
No, sir, all nighttime.
Really?
Yeah, never had a daylight picture of him.
How about that?
I didn't. So we're hunting him hard. I'm getting a couple pictures by now. We're into the first, second week of November. In there every north or northwest we could. I'm taking off work. I'm coming in late. I'm leaving early. I'm doing everything we can. Dad's in there when I can't be in there.
So how long is this season you're having to deal with to get on him and get a north wind? How many days you got?
Like I said, we started really hunting the last week of October, and we were hunting hard then with the right wind. We always try to be mindful of the wind anyway. But really, we pretty much we didn't really have a whole lot else on any of our other cameras. We just knew that if there was going to be a mature deer that we didn't have on any cameras, if there was going to be a spot one showed up, this was going to be the property that happened most likely. So we're hunting the property hard anyway. And then we got that first picture the first week in November, and we're hunting every northwest wind we can get.
So is this gun season, or are you doing a combination of bow and gun?
This is archery season here. Archery season goes from October 1st to January 19th.
Okay.
So
you were bow hunting. You were bow hunting this deer sump, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we were hunting him hard. Me and Dad both. I
got you.
He's freshly retired, so he's quickly having more time to hunt than I can. So, and after the success I've had at this place, I'm probably going to have to give it over to him for a few years. But so we're hunting him hard. We're bow hunting. Regardless, we get the pictures of him. We get a few pictures of him. We start to get excited about the possibility. Then that week in Missouri comes in, November 15th or 16th, I believe it was, whatever that Saturday was. It was going to be the first year down there without my uncle. Going to be a pretty emotional time.
Sure.
I contemplated for a long time not going this year and staying on this deer to hunt him, but ultimately went ahead and went to Missouri. We had a great hunt down there, and it's full-on rifle season down there. We're hunting with high-powered rifles down there. It's a fun hunt every year, but like I said, the deer aren't what they are here, of course. So we had a good hunt. I killed a nice management buck down there. Was itching to get back home. And so that you get the next weekend is Illinois gun season. I was lucky enough to get a picture of this buck the night before gun season opened.
Really?
Okay. So I was excited, and I knew he was still around. I didn't totally blow it by going and hunting Missouri.
Yeah.
So I was happy about all that.
So how many days do you have of that particular gun season now?
That's the gun season coming. It's 3 days. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So you got a 3-day window right there with your straight wall, right?
Yep, straight wall rifle cartridges. 3-day first gun season, of which only the first day and a half we were going to be able to hunt this spot. Started out pretty good weather. Little front came through. We had the right conditions to hunt this spot. The first day and a half, and we couldn't get in there, the second day and a half.
Gotcha.
So I sat there the first day gun season, and we talk about pressured hunting areas. I heard over 80 gunshots from my stand the first day of season.
Wow. So,
and like I said, we're straight wall cartridge and shotgun here. So, these people are fairly close, all of them, to be able to hear them from the stand. And of course, you can't help but dread what's, you think someone's got them, surely. That many shots in the area, someone's probably got them. But there is one thing I did know is that if the deer got killed, I would hear about it. You can't keep a deer like this quiet. So I waited in anticipation, checking all the social media apps and everything. Never did have an encounter with him those first day and a half. Had a couple good hunts, saw some nice deer, but not this one. And so yeah, we're going into the last day gun season. I ended up taking my boy to a different spot. We were able to harvest a doe, so that was fun. It warmed up quite a bit, 40s, 50s. Really, the hunting, the movement had really slowed down. It got warm on us. And actually, that night, I see a video come across Facebook from a guy that hunts fairly close to me, talking about a velvet deer getting killed. So yeah, of course, instantly it's that one. It's extremely rare. Got to be that one. Waiting. The video finally comes up, and I bet I watched that video 20 or 30 times, and then I finally convinced myself that it wasn't the same deer. There's enough angles. I had enough pictures. However rare it might be, it wasn't the same deer. Of course, turns out to find out he ended up shooting that deer probably 30 miles from me. Wow. But at the time, the dread, I'm thinking the worst. How rare is this even to have one in velvet, let alone two within that kind of mileage. So yeah, we get through the first gun season. I'm more or less pretty confident that he's still alive. Finally did pick up a picture of him there that week of Thanksgiving. And when I say, a picture, it's a picture. I'm getting one at a time. I've got my camera on burst even, and I'm having trouble even getting more than one. He's just moving through me. So we get through that. We get through Thanksgiving. I pick up a picture here or there. I know he's still out there, and that's when I kind of start to get a little bit excited and think there's a chance. Start looking at the extended forecast for the week of that second gun season.
So you're waiting to the second gun season now. So
yeah, I mean we're kind of I'm trying to stay out of there as much as we can. We didn't really have any good front come through in that 2 weeks that I thought that I wanted to be in there. I wanted to leave it alone. Hopefully hunkered up in there after all the shooting in the first gun season. I did never hunt bow hunt in between those 2 seasons.
So how much time have you let the place lay down since the day and a half you hunted?
So I hadn't been in there. It would have been from the Saturday. So it's been 10 or 13, 10, probably 12 or 13 days.
Okay.
Since I've been in there.
I got you. But you're still getting some trail camera pics of him.
I think I got 2 pictures. Yeah, one each week. I knew the neighbors were hunting. I'm pretty, I talked to the neighbor kid. I know he's hunting hard in there. He's archery only hunter. So I know he's hunting hard in there. I'm just going to leave mine alone. Hopefully, hopefully this deer can hide for a little while longer,
Yeah. So how long is your second gun season now that you're getting ready to get into?
Second gun season's 4 days. So it opens on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
And, you get the extended forecast. You start to get a little bit excited. We got a big old cold front coming through towards the middle of the week. Got a little bit of snow real early in the week. It had melted off. But, yeah, it was going to be single digits opening morning, cold, and windy. And it had been windy for a day or two before opening day. So, in your mind, you're thinking the deer are going to lay down, hunker down as long as they can, then they're going to have to get up to feed. So it was setting up. The wind was going to lay that Thursday afternoon. I didn't even hunt that morning. Like I said, it was probably 3 degrees with 20 or 30 mile an hour winds. I was going to stay out of there and made a game plan to go in there Thursday afternoon.
So
when
Tyler,
wind laid down.
When you're saying you got food, how many different tree stands have you got that you're trying to hunt out of? I mean, have you got some on the cornfield? You got some in the on the 12 acres on the ravine? Are you hunting elevated stands, box blinds? What are you hunting out of?
Yeah. So typically we only have 2 stands right currently set up on this 12 acres of woods. One's on the east side and one's on the south side. Like I said, these ravines, you can't walk through the ravines through this place. They're big, long fingered. You got to walk around the whole woods to get around in there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, really, we only have 2 stands in there, and the one on the south side is the one that gets hunted the hardest. It's the one closest to the corn, the cut corn, the ag fields. And it's nice. It can be a nice little staging area in there from the deer coming from those deep ravines out into the crops. So yeah, it's a lock on there. And I actually killed these 2 deer, the archery deer, both out of that same tree, and the muzzleloader deer I killed out of the same tree.
How tall is your stand?
It's up there. It's probably 19 or 20 feet up there, right inside the wood line. I got about 30 or 40 yards to the field edge. There's a little bit of a CRP, 10 or 15 yards in between. But yeah, that's really been the main spot that we've hunted on this location, just because, like I said, the deep ravines almost make it impossible to get anywhere else.
I got you. All right, so you're going Thursday afternoon. Is you going to be your first hunt?
Yep. I actually ended up working Thursday morning. It's going to be a little warmer at work than it was negative 20 wind chill out there. So, I got off about lunchtime, went and ate some lunch at the grandparents' house. Dad and Grandpa were there. We're getting geared up to hunt. Of course, made the game plan. Everybody knew where we were going. Dad, there's a separate 30-acre parcel on the east side of the road that kind of butts up to this. Dad was going to go hunt. And I was going to this spot. I've been looking at a lot of aerials. Of course, like I said, I've hunted it for several years. I'd always had my eye on a spot on the ground that would probably be a good spot to gun hunt it. Mm-hmm. If you get the northwest wind, it's on the southeast corner of the 12 acres. Pretty well blows your scent right across the field, keeps it away from all the deer, and really set up perfect for the deer coming to that corner to feed in this cold weather. So, yeah, that was the plan. Got in there, made a little makeshift ground blind, trimmed out a few branches, and I didn't have a chair, so I stood there behind a tree all afternoon.
Really? How about that?
Yeah.
Did you say you stood or you sat down?
No, I stood.
You stood up on the ground, right
yes,
there,
sir.
And you built you enough cover up that the deer couldn't see you.
Yep. There's enough brush out in front. It's about waist high. I didn't bring a chair with me. I like to film too. I video. Uh-huh. I didn't bring my camera base. I was a little frustrated about that. I got in there. I'm like, I'm in here. I'm not leaving. It was 10 degrees. I was bundled up, looked like a marshmallow out there. So I got in there, found me a spot, hunkered down.
How about that? Did you have your back to the tree? You just standing up next to the tree?
Nope. I was standing behind it, standing facing it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was.
This is a first. Okay, I'm learning something now. Okay, all right, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, the spot, like I said, with that wind, the deer weren't going to smell me. There wasn't going to be any deer that come out and feed and smell me. If I could stay still enough, long enough, they were. I felt pretty good about the spot. It gave me a good rest to pretty well shoot anything out in the corn. Caddy corner from me is, of course, the farthest away from me is about 250 yards, which is a poke. But
so are you using the tree as your anchor?
Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, yep. I had a good spot there, but it wasn't a huge tree, but it was big enough I could sort of hide behind and then also use it for a rest if I needed to.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so I get out there that afternoon. Get in clean. Didn't spook any deer out. Didn't see any running away. Just perfect afternoon. Expecting a ton of deer movement to the corn. As cold as it had been the previous few days and as windy, I was expecting a ton of movement. Didn't really pan out like that. Stood there for a couple. Like I said, stood there for a couple 2.5, 3 hours. Finally saw my first deer about 4 o'clock, a little after. Just a yearling buck. Came out into the corn and just moved right on through. Didn't stop for a nibble or nothing. So, that puts a little bit of doubt in your mind. Your whole plan is it's cold, so these deer are going to come eat this corn, and the first one you see just moves right on through. So, not discouraged or anything. It's just surprising to see I wasn't seeing the movement that I thought I should. So, wait a little while longer, and I heard a shot from across the road, and what I would have thought had been Dad. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I gave him a couple minutes. I texted him. I said, "Yeah, did you shoot something? What have you been seeing?" And he said he shot a doe, come in with a broken leg. So he went ahead and shot her, and she was down. All was good. He's seen a bunch of deer, and I remember like it was yesterday. I was looking at my phone. Okay, shot a doe. Put it down in my pocket, and I looked up, and straight across, caddy corner from me across the field, there was two deer, and one of them was this one.
Really? How far
He's
away?
250. He's 250 yards away when he first come out.
Wow.
And I could see it. I could see it with my naked eye that it was a good deer.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh, that's the nice buck. So I immediately crouched down, pick up the binoculars. I brought them up. They weren't on my eyes for more than half a second. Oh my gosh, that's him.
That's him.
The big non-typical. Maybe a few choice other words were going through my mind,
Sure.
but yeah, to see something like that on the hoof, pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's him. So I'm mini freak out moment. Of course, your adrenaline starts racing. That's the deer. You hunt all year to get a shot at a mature buck, let alone one that looks like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now down, crouched on my knees, and I'm thinking, okay, don't mess this up. The deer's calm, the wind's perfect. He doesn't smell me, he doesn't see me. Just take your time. So I get my rangefinder, I ranged him. By that time, he'd made his way out a little closer. He was at 227 yards, and I put my rangefinder down, and I'm sitting there, and I pull up my scope against the tree to see how good of a rest I had, and I was on him solid, and I just. At that moment, I said, I was confident in the rest. I was confident in the gun. I knew where it was shooting. I'm going to go ahead and take the shot. More or less scared something was going to happen. Like I said, this is a pretty tight-knit area, dogs, coyotes.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what could happen.
Sure.
You got this chance in front of you. You're confident with it. You got a good rest. Go ahead and make the shot. So that's what I did. I pulled up and had a good rest. He was quartering towards me a little bit. I held it tight to his shoulder, aimed high on him, and pulled the trigger. And immediately I knew I had hit him from the sound. It sounded like I hit a watermelon.
Really?
Like it just perplacked. Mm-hmm. And, so even before I could get back on him with the scope, I knew I had hit him, just didn't know where, of course. And get the scope back on him. I see him, he'd reared up, and he was coming down, and he went straight down. And he was laying there kicking his legs. So, of course, pretty well, it doesn't matter how much I've hunted with a rifle in Missouri or how much I've hunted with a shotgun here. But, a deer that's shot in the shoulder will drop a lot of times because of shock.
Sure.
But there's always that thought in your head that maybe you spined him. You hear the horror stories about someone that's, stunned a deer and they get up and run away. So, yeah, it was about 2 seconds after I pulled the trigger that turned into more of a turkey hunt than it did a deer hunt. I get up and I just take off running to him. Of course, like I said, 10 degrees, I'm bundled up, look like a marshmallow running across there, fast as I can, shucking everything I can get off me, bino harness, binoculars, everything, anything I can drop, I'm shucking from me, trying to reload at the same time. And I get over to this deer, and I'm crouched there, about to puke. Of course, Dad's blowing up my phone. He knows, I'm only going to shoot a mature deer. I wasn't going to blow out the area shooting a doe or anything. So I finally get on the phone with him. This deer's in front of me, still kicking. And I'm talking to Dad, and I said, I got the big one. I got the big non-typical. In between breaths, of course, can't hardly talk. And, of course, he's excited then, too, Inside, I said, I think I'm going to shoot him again, just to be sure. He's laying here on our property. Won't have to get anyone else, landowners, nothing else involved.
Right.
Just shoot him again and end this here. And about that time, he had tried to get up, and he fell back down and kind of had his neck all cockeyed back and was laying on his horns. And I could see that he was bleeding from his mouth. So, that tells me right there it's a decent shot anyway. You get some lungs in there. It's not just a straight spine shot. So, I kind of let my guard down a little bit there for a second. I'm like, well, he's just bleeding from his mouth. Give him a little time. He's going to expire. And I don't know. It was about that time where I got comfortable that he wasn't going anywhere and I wasn't going to shoot him again. And that sucker jumped up and took off.
Oh, Lordy.
And the emotional roller coaster you get from shooting him and dropping him and being right there beside him to watching this thing just run out of my life. It was all I could do to just keep it together for a few seconds. So I'm still on the phone with Dad. I drop it. I wheel around. I try to shoot him again. Missed, of course. My scope was still, the magnification was still turned up. I couldn't hardly find him in my scope running away that close. And he had about 40 yards to go till he got to the woods. And so I'm on the phone with Dad. I said, this thing just got up and ran away. And of course he's, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I said, I'm going to take off after him. And I dropped the phone in my pocket and took off running again. And yeah, I ran about 20 or 30 yards and got to the edge of the woods where he went in. And the blood trail was about 3 feet wide. So, I knew at that point that I was going to get him. But yeah, there's nothing like watching that thing. Being right there with him, having the opportunity just to finish him off, and then watch him get up and run to the woods. I tell you, that was pretty tough on a guy.
And he was right there then.
He was right there. Could have had him. Could have just put another shot in him and been done with it.
I got you. All right, well, pick him up. Let's look at him real quick before we have to get out of here. Look at this, folks. What a buck. Look at the side. Oh, my heavens. How many scoreable points is he, Tyler?
Yeah, he went 37 scoreable.
37.
Got all kinds of mass down here on the bases.
Look at that. Oh.
Front points.
Yeah.
Look, frame-wise, looking at him straight on, you don't think much of him. But, you turn him sideways. I mean,
oh my
this point here was over 16 inches, this dagger point. So he's got some length on a lot of these front points.
He's got mass and length. He got everything and gave you, 285 inches? Is that what it was?
Yes, sir.
Holy
yes, sir.
Smokes.
And he actually, so, of course, after you kill a deer like this, people come out all over the place. They were nice to my face. I'm sure that there were some choice words otherwise behind closed doors, but sending me trail cam pictures that they had of him. And I actually got one sent to me from the night before, and he had a flyer right here, a wishbone flyer that you can see in the trail cam pictures.
Really?
And a drop tine here.
Uh-huh.
And these spots were bloody. I was just so happy to get the deer, that night. I didn't even think about it.
Wow. So you lost some inches off of the 285.
No. So that's the next day, Dad and I, we decided that those breakoffs are fresh enough. There's a chance when he was flopping around out there in the field that we'd be able to find those.
Yeah. And
we went out there and we were able to find the big wishbone piece that day.
Really?
Laying right there where he'd fell down and broke it off. Made contact with the hunter from the neighboring property, talked to him a little bit that day, and he actually got back with me the next day, and he had followed the blood trail and found the other point.
Wow.
That's so cool. Yeah, 2 days later we get the complete rack, but yeah, it was all there when I shot him. So yeah, I guess I needed every inch of him to take over the 285 and but that it's really cool that we could find both of those points and the rack's complete. So yeah, he's got a big old flyer off here and another 4 or 5 inch drop here.
Wow.
That you could see you could see in the trail cam pictures. So
well, Tyler, congratulations. I mean, that is such an awesome story, and sorry to hear about your uncle, but you know what? He's looking down on you with a great deer, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a little bittersweet. Like I said, we've been hunting my whole life together. He goes to Missouri. He's with us. I killed my second deer with him, 22 or 23 years ago. So, yeah, it's a little bit bittersweet, but he is smiling down on us for sure.
Well, you're one to show folks you don't have to have a whole bunch of acreage to shoot a big deer. You got 12 acres there, and pressure, no pressure. You had your trail cameras, and you only hunted it on the right wind. Again, this is something that keeps coming up in every big buck blueprint that we do. Same story. And you made it work, and all the deer hanging next to you. You've got something going there. So that's the first one I've heard of that made a ground blind and stood up. So that's new. That's new for me, but it worked out, didn't it?
Yep. Just try to adapt and overcome. And the biggest thing is don't get discouraged. I mean, we don't this area. I'm not getting a ton of pictures of these giant deer.
Yeah.
I'm getting a picture or two a week of a deer that's passing through there. And then, getting in there when I can. And, we'd all like to have a lot of acres, do the whole, we do some food plotting in some of our other places. And, I'd like to be out there all the time too. But really, on these small acreage pieces, you can only shoot the deer if they're there. And if you blow them out, you're not going to get them. So
I agree. Well, congratulations. Thanks for taking time to be on the Buckmasters Big Buck Blueprint. I don't know if you can beat that one, Tom. You might have to start playing golf.
No, I'm pretty confident I'll never get a bigger one. That's for sure.
Well,
But,
you got
I like to hunt mature deer, and there's still going to be some of them out there. So
they'll grow another one. But hey, you got a World Series ring on right there. If you never shoot another one like that, that's pretty awesome right there, my friend. Well, congratulations, okay, and thanks for taking time to share your story.
yeah, much appreciated.
All right, folks, that does it for another Buckmasters Big Buck Blueprint, sponsored by our good folks from Rocky. If this is the first time to listen to our podcast or watch it, make sure you push the subscribe button. Tell all your buddies that the Buckmasters are on social media. We'll see you next time.